Don't Worry Darling is directed by Olivia Wilde and stars Harry Styles, Chris Pine, and Florence Pugh. And Don't Worry Darling is a psychological thriller taking place in the 1950s, but Alice, played by Florence Pugh, begins to worry that this glamorous company that her husband Jack, played by Harry Styles, works for may be hiding some disturbing secrets. Before I start with my positives, I just want to put it out there that I know there's a lot of drama surrounding this film. And in some ways, it's more exciting to talk about than the movie, but I'm going to try to keep it out of this review and just continue with my positives. And honestly, I had fun with this movie. Is it perfect? No. It has issues, and I'll go through those, but I do want to start with my positives. This film had some really strong performances. Florence Pugh was fantastic as Alice. She carried this movie throughout. She came into this with so much range as an actress. It was just really impressive and a pleasure to watch. And Harry Styles, I actually think he got a lot more hate than he deserves. It wasn't perfect, and next to Florence Pugh, it was kind of obvious the difference in terms of acting range. But I don't think that's fair. I actually think he did a pretty good job in playing the character of Jack. You can see this internal struggle he has. He did kind of go from like blank face and not really saying much to just yelling all of a sudden or burying his face in things. I know that sounds weird, but if you see the movie, you know what I mean. But again, he's new to a film set, and I think next to some stronger actors, it's not really fair to just hate on his performance. So I actually think he did a pretty good job. Chris Pine was also really, really good, and I wish he got more screen time. I'll talk more about that a little bit later, but I thought he did a great job. I've never seen him in a role like this before, and I think it really worked. I want to see him in a film that takes full advantage of his range like that. He was really mysterious. You didn't know what was going on with him. You didn't know what his deal was. And when he came on screen, he really elevated the film. He took it to another level. Another thing that really stood out to me was the sound design. Now, being a psychological thriller, you hope that there's good sound, but there was something extra special about this movie. It really got in my head, and it almost added a level of depth to the film that I don't think the script could have pulled off without the sound design. It's just very off-putting, it sets tone perfectly, and it really makes you feel like the walls are closing in on you. I also thought a lot of the movie was really well shot, and there were some cool directing choices throughout. And overall, again, I was entertained by this film. I actually thought it was enjoyable. But as for negatives, the biggest thing is the fact that this movie was set up to be very grandiose in scale. It felt like we were promised something. And again, the sound design was so fantastic that I wonder if it added a level of depth that the movie couldn't actually deliver on. But it also introduced a lot of ideas that I think if they went with, it would have been a much better film. It sort of did what Lost did, if you've ever seen that show, where they introduced a lot of really cool ideas, but in the end, they couldn't tie it all up. And as I alluded to earlier, Chris Pine does such a great job in this movie. I wanted more screen time with him. And there's this point in the film where he interacts with a character in a way that makes you believe he's going to be appearing much more often and that he's going to be elevating the movie. And I thought that the movie was going to get much better, but it never came. I think that was a really missed opportunity. And they instead went this weird route where, again, I think they were going from almost like a grandiose perspective, like they wanted this to be a big concept. And the concept itself is really cool, and it keeps you very engaged throughout the film. But there's a point that you get to, and I think it's when you reach the third act that you realize you're not going to get it. And the movie's giving up on those ideas to give you something else that it thinks will be better and bigger picture, but I don't think it was. I think instead it was a misstep, and they missed all the more grounded ideas that they had already sort of laid out for you that would have had a much higher payoff. I know I'm being vague, but I'm trying not to spoil things. I think if you saw it, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. And as for the ending, again, it's hard when I'm trying not to spoil anything, but it really didn't work for me. I hate endings like that, and again, I can't really explain what it is, but again, it kind of follows the same path as other parts of the movie where it sets something up and just kind of couldn't deliver on that. This was a spoiler review. I'd go into much more detail, but again, it's not a very satisfying ending in my opinion. But overall, I did enjoy the film. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's just a decent film. It entertained me. I thought Olivia Wilde actually did a really good job directing this. And by the way, really good job acting in this as well. She plays a character named Bunny, who was a really cool character, and it kind of took me a while to realize, wait, that's Olivia Wilde. She's in her own movie. I know a lot of people are disappointed with this being her second film and it not being that amazing, that she's lost her touch or that it's just really disappointing. I think for me, I'm still really excited to see where she goes in the future. I thought this was a solid film. It wasn't perfect, but from a directing standpoint, it was solid, in my opinion. And another quick side note, I am excited to see where else Harry Styles goes with his acting career. I hope he continues to act and get better. He obviously has potential. This is his first film, as far as I'm aware, and I thought he did a pretty good job again. So I'm excited to see where everyone goes after this. I think it's a solid watch. It's not something I'm going to recommend that everyone go see, but it was entertaining despite its imperfections. It tried, and I'd rather have something try really hard and kind of fall flat than what we're getting with She-Hulk. And I'll just leave it there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.